Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're in Atlantic City, a place that's been called the playground of the East Coast for over a century. From sunrise over the ocean, to family fun at Showboat Water Park, and the bright lights of the Boardwalk at night, we're exploring how Atlantic City looks in 2025 compared to the old days. Let's dive in. Good morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a ride through a place that has always been known as the playground of the East Coast, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Right now, we're catching the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean. And there's just something timeless about this view. The same sun that greeted Atlantic City's earliest visitors more than 100 years ago. So peaceful sunrise over the Atlantic, joggers and bikers on the boardwalk, fishermen on the pier. Atlantic City has gone through a lot of changes over the decades. Back then, especially in the 1920s and 30s, this city was booming. The boardwalk was packed with tourists, casinos weren't even here yet, and Atlantic City was all about resorts, entertainment, and that famous saltwater taffy. Then came the casino era in the late 70s. The city became a gambling hotspot, almost like the Las Vegas of the East Coast. But it hasn't been a smooth ride. There were ups, downs, economic struggles, and some casinos even closed their doors. Fast forward to 2025, and Atlantic City is still standing strong. Some say it's not the same as the old days, but the truth is, it's a mix of history and modern change. You've got new investments coming in, updated casinos, and a focus on entertainment beyond just gambling. Festivals, restaurants, nightlife, and of course, the iconic beaches, they're still here, drawing people in. Now let's talk about something that's been bringing a whole new vibe to Atlantic City, the Showboat Island Water Park. It's one of the largest indoor water parks in the country, sitting right on the boardwalk. I wasn't able to film inside the water park, but here's a look from the outside. Inside, you'll find massive water slides, a lazy river, wave pools, and even an indoor surf machine. The best part, it's open all year, rain or shine. So families can enjoy the beach and water fun no matter the weather. And it doesn't stop there. Showboat is also home to a giant arcade and entertainment center. Picture classic arcade games, modern VR experiences, bowling, mini golf, and attractions for kids and adults. It's basically a playground inside a playground. For Atlantic City, which has always been known for casinos, this spot gives families something totally different. a chance to laugh, play, and enjoy together without ever touching a slot machine. And when the sun goes down, the boardwalk comes alive. Walking here at night, you really feel the energy. Street performers, neon lights, the sound of waves in the background. This is the Atlantic City experience that never gets old. then, nights on the boardwalk were all about ballroom dancing, live music, and amusement rides. Today, it's concerts, big-name DJs, casinos, and rooftop bars. The vibe has changed, but the soul of Atlantic City, that mix of ocean breeze and nightlife excitement, is still here. Take in the sights and sounds of the boardwalk with me, and thank you for bearing with the shaky footage. I appreciate your support as I keep improving. In 1854, when the first boardwalk was built, Atlantic City quickly became a major resort town. Its nickname was the Playground of the East Coast. famous for saltwater taffy, amusement piers, luxury hotels, and beach vacations for city dwellers from Philadelphia, New York, and beyond. By the 1920s, it was booming with jazz clubs, Prohibition-era nightlife, and the Miss America pageant, started here in 1921. In 1976, New Jersey voters legalized casino gambling in Atlantic City. Resorts Casino opened in 1978, becoming the first legal casino outside Nevada. Through the 80s and 90s, casinos dominated the economy. Big names like Caesars, Bally's, and Trump's casinos rose. Atlantic City became known as the Las Vegas of the East Coast. But economic struggles, competition from other states, and the 2008 recession hit hard. Several casinos closed in the 2010s, Trump Plaza, Revel, Showboat as a casino, etc. Still a gambling hub, but it's been shifting toward diversified tourism. Casinos like Borgata, Hard Rock, Caesars, and Ocean Casino Resort remain popular. For entertainment, big concerts, boxing matches, and festivals are a major draw. Food scene, from Boardwalk pizza and taffy to celebrity chef restaurants. Attractions you get: Steel Pier, historic amusement pier with rides the famous wheel. Absecon Lighthouse, tallest in New Jersey. The Boardwalk, 5+ miles long with shops, street performers, and history. Beaches, free and wide open for public use. So whether you remember Atlantic City from back in the day or you're experiencing it fresh in 2025, it's a place that's constantly reinventing itself. From sunrise by the beach to nights on the boardwalk, Atlantic City continues to tell its story. If you enjoyed this ride through the city, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more city tours, and drop a comment below. Do you think Atlantic City is better now, or do you miss the way it used to be?